Welcome to Jersey Reads the Classics, an audiobook podcast delving into the finest works of our literary masters. Unfortunately, it's read by this woman.
What the hell? Who cares? Let's go on an adventure.
Hello, and welcome back to Jersey Reads the Classics with your host, me, Rosie D. Candia. So, I don't do any recaps here. I just proceed to the next chapter. So let's proceed to the next chapter of Peter Pan. And this one is Chapter 5, The Island Come True. Feeling that Peter was on his way back, the Neverland had again awoken to life. We ought to use the pluperfect and say awakened, but woke is better and was always used by Peter. So Peter Pan was woke before we even been woke. He's a pioneer, that frickin' Peter Pan, you know what I'm saying? Okay. In his absence, things are usually quiet on the island. The fairies take an hour longer in the morning, the beasts attend to their young, the redskins feed heavily for 6 days and nights, and when pirates and lost boys meet, they merely bite their thumbs at each other. So, there's no fighting? Everything revolves around Peter. Now, no wonder he's a manipulative, cunning little narcissist. Okay. But with the coming of Peter, who hates lethargy, and they are underway again. If you put your ear to the ground now, you would hear the whole island seething with life. On this evening, the chief forces of the island were disposed as follows. The Lost Boys were out looking for Peter, the pirates were out looking for the Lost Boys, the redskins were out looking for the pirates, and the beasts were out looking for the redskins. They were going round and round the island, but they did not meet because all were going at the same rate. Is this like a parade? I love a parade. I love the band. Okay. All wanted blood, except the boys, who liked it as a rule. But tonight, we're out to greet their captain. Captain, oh captain of mine. The boys on the island vary, of course, in numbers, according as they get killed and so on. Killed? Oh my God, they die on this island? I thought these kids just stay young forever. So we're going to get dark here, people. I think we're going to get real dark. Okay. And when they seem to be growing up, which is against the rules, Peter thins them out. How does he do that? But at this time, there were 6 of them, counting the twins as 2. Let us pretend to lie here among the sugar cane and watch them as they steal by in single file, each with his hands on his dagger. Okay, so how does Peter thin them out when they start growing up? I thought these kids just, once you go to Neverland, you never age. And is he like thinning them out like what they do in the Tiger King? Like, does he put sardine oil on them and then a tiger, one of the beasts, comes and eats them? I need to know. Do you know what I'm saying? If you haven't seen Tiger King, I think I've mentioned it before. Watch it. It's on Netflix. Okay. They are forbidden by Peter to look in the least like him, and they wear the skins of the bears slain by themselves, in which they are so round and furry that when they fall, they roll. They have therefore become very sure-footed. The first to pass is Toodles, not the least brave, but the most unfortunate of all that gallant band. He had been in fewer adventures than any of them, because the big things constantly happened just when he had stepped round the corner. All would be quiet. He would take the opportunity of going off to gather a few sticks for firewood, and then when he returned, the others would be sweeping up the blood. Don't you hate that? It's like having FOMO. I bet you Toodles has FOMO. You know, FOMO, fear of missing out. JOMO is joy of missing out. I'm totally a JOMO. I'm an empath. I like to sit home and just be alone. Ugh. And I'm older. I can't have it with that. This ill luck had given a gentle melancholy to his countenance, but instead of souring his nature, it had sweetened it, so that he was quite the humblest of the boys. Poor kind Toodles, there is danger in the air for you tonight. Take care lest an adventure is now offered you, which, if accepted, will plunge you into the deepest woe. Toodles, the fairy Tink, who is bent on mischief this night, is looking for a tool, and she thinks you are the most easily tricked of the boys. Where Tinkerbell? Dun, 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 dun. Remember, Tinkerbell has some problems with Wendy. She's jealous. So this bitch is going to take down Wendy in her own way. And now she's looking for a tool. So actually, isn't that interesting that we used to use, like, in my day, we'd be like, what a tool. He's such a tool. And I know he's using it as a tool, like using him as a tool. But it's like, she's calling Toodles. She thinks basically Toodles is a tool. Toodles the tool? Toodles? Okay. Tool time. With that, he could hear us, but we are not really on the island, and he passes by, biting his knuckles. Next comes Nibs, the gay and debonair, followed by Slightly, who cuts whistles out of the trees and dances ecstatically to his own tunes. Slightly is the most conceited of the boys. He thinks he remembers the days before he was lost, with their manners and customs, and this has given his nose an offensive tilt. That means he's got his nose in the air and he's a snoodle tootle. Screw you. All right, whatever. Curly is fourth, and he is a pickle. And so often has he had to deliver up his person when Peter said sternly, "Stand forth, the one who did this thing," that now, at the command, he stands forth automatically, whether he has done it or not. Last come the twins, who cannot be described because we should be sure to be describing the wrong one. Peter never quite knew what twins were, and his band were not allowed to know anything he did not know. So these two were always vague about themselves and did their best to give satisfaction by keeping close together in an apologetic sort of way. The boys vanish in the gloom, and after a pause, but not a long pause, for things go briskly on the island, come the pirates on their track. We hear them before they are seen, and it is always the same dreadful song. Avast belay, yo ho heave to, a pirating we go, and if we're parted by a shot, we're sure to meet below. The pirates, a more villainous looking lot, never hung in a row on execution dock. Here, a little in advance, ever and again with his head to the ground listening, his great arms bare, pieces of 8 in his ears as ornaments, is the handsome Italian Cecco, who cut his name in letters of blood on the back of the governor of the prisoner at Gao. Hello, governor. That gigantic black behind him has had many names since he dropped the one with which dusky mothers still terrify their children on the banks of the Guatemala. I don't know how to say it. Here is Bill Jukes, every inch of him tattooed. The same Bill Jukes who got 6 dozen on the walrus from Flint before he would drop the bag of moidores. Moidores are Portuguese coins. And Cookson, said to be Black Murphy's brother, but this was never proved. And Gentleman Starkey, once an usher in a public school and still dainty in his ways of killing. And Skylights, Morgan's Skylights, and the Irish boatswain Smee, an oddly genial man who stabbed, so to speak, without offense, and was the only nonconformist in Hook's crew, and Noodler, whose hands were fixed on backwards, and Robert Mullins, and Alf Mason, and many another ruffian long known and feared on the Spanish Main. Dun, 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 dun. All right, I've always heard about Smee. He's like the right-hand man of Hook, who we know that Hook does not have a hand. One of his hands are gone. Well, hello. In the midst of them, the blackest and largest in that dark setting, reclined James Hook, or as he wrote himself, Jas. Hook, of whom it is said he was the only man that the sea cook feared. He lay at his ease in a rough chariot drawn and propelled by his men, and instead of a right hand, he had the iron hook with which ever and anon he encouraged them to increase their pace. As dogs this terrible man treated and addressed them, and as dogs they obeyed him. In person he was cadaverous and black of eyes, and his hair was dressed in long curls, which at a little distance looked like black candles, and gave a singularly threatening expression to his handsome countenance. Sounds like Hook is a hubba. Hey, hooky. So his right hand has a hook, but Smee is his right hand's man. You get it? Is that why we get the right hand man? Because Hook has no hand? All right. I told you I like the stupid puns. His eyes were of the blue of the forget-me-not, and of a profound melancholy, save when he was plunging his hook into you, at which time 2 red spots appeared in them and lit them up horribly. In manner, something of the guard seigneur still clung to him, so that he even ripped you up with an air, and I've been told that he was a raconteur of repute. A raconteur of repute, okay. He also sounds like he's really hot, okay. You know, sometimes women just love those bad boys, and I guess Captain Hook just has that je ne sais quoi. He's got blue eyes and dark black hair and curls. But they always portray him like really ugly, don't they? So I'm kind of confused, but I digress. I guess they don't want people to be too attracted to him. But then again, in Beauty and the Beast, what's that jackass that falls in love with Belle and wants to marry her? And Gaston, he's handsome and he turns out to be a jerk, and everybody's like, kill him, he's obnoxious. So even if they made Hook handsome, we'd be okay with him dying, trust me. Anyway, I know, I'm going off on tangents. Okay, he was never more sinister than when he was most polite, which is probably the truest test of breeding and the elegance of his diction. Even when he was swearing, no less than the distinction of his demeanor showed him one of a different caste from his crew. A man of indomitable courage. It was said that the only thing he shied at was the sight of his own blood, which was thick and of an unusual color. In dress, he somewhat aped the attire associated with the name of Charles II, having heard it said in some earlier period of his career that he bore a strange resemblance to the ill-fated Stuarts, and in his mouth he had a holder of his own contrivance which enabled him to smoke 2 cigars at once. But undoubtedly, the grimmest part of him was his iron claw. Let us now kill a pirate to show Hook's method. Skylights will do. As they pass, Skylights lurches clumsily against him, ruffling his lace collar. The hook shoots forth, and there is a tearing sound and one screech, and the body is kicked aside, and the pirates pass on. He has not even taken the cigars from his mouth. He's a talented killer. Such is the terrible man against whom Peter Pan is pitted. Which will win? On the trail of the pirates, stealing noiselessly down the warpath, which is not visible to inexperienced eyes, come the Redskins, every one of them with his eyes peeled. Obviously, we do not use that word today, so if this is my PC moment, I'm only reading that word because that is part of the book. We know that it's very derogatory, so we know that they're referring to the natives on the island, okay? Just putting it out there. They carry tomahawks and knives, and their naked bodies gleam with paint and oil. Strung around them are scalps of boys as well as of pirates, for these are the Pickaninny tribe, and not to be confused with the soft-hearted Delawares or the Hurons. In the van, on all fours, is great big little Panther, a brave of so many scalps that in his present position they somewhat impede his progress. Bringing up the rear, the place of greatest danger, comes Tiger Lily, proudly erect, a princess in her own right. That's right, baby. Woman, most dangerous position. She can handle it. She is the most beautiful of dusky Dianas and the belle of the Pickaninnies, coquettish, cold, and amorous by turns. There is not a brave who would not have the wayward thing to his wife. But she staves off the altar with a hatchet. Good for you, Tiger Lily. Princess Tiger Lily is probably too good for any of these guys anyway, so good for you. She's got standards, and she's not going to lower them, even if she has to stay single. I don't blame you. I'm just like you, Princess Tiger Lily. It's all good. Observe how they pass over fallen twigs without making the slightest noise. The only sound to be heard is their somewhat heavy breathing. The fact is that they are all a little fat just now after the heavy gorging, but in time they will work this off. For the moment, however, it constitutes their chief danger. The Redskins disappear as they have come like shadows, and soon their place is taken by the beasts, a great and motley procession. Lions, tigers, bears, oh my, and the innumerable smaller savage things that flee from them. For every kind of beast, and more particularly all the man-eaters, live cheek by jowl on the favored islands. Their tongues are hanging out. They are hungry tonight. When they have passed, comes the last figure of all, a gigantic crocodile. We shall see for whom she is looking presently. The crocodile passes, but soon the boys appear again, for the procession must continue indefinitely until one of the party stops or changes its pace. Then quickly they will be on top of each other. All are keeping a sharp lookout in front, but none suspects that the danger may be creeping up from behind. This shows how real the island was. The first to fall out of the moving circle was the boys. They flung themselves down on the sword, close to their underground home. Okay, so all these people do is walk around like they're in a parade. And I have a question. Lions, tigers, and bears, that's also that's the way they say it in, what book is that? The Wizard of Oz, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. The oh my was my added thing. But isn't that funny that they do lions, tigers, and bears? It does sound right, though. It just sounds like it flows right. I think that's why they do that. But none of these people are doing anything except Captain Hook. He kills a pirate just for show. And the rest of them are just walking around like they're on, like, parade. All right, whatever. Okay. I do wish Peter would come back, every one of them said nervously, though in height and still more in breadth, they were all larger than their captain. I am the only one who's not afraid of the pirates, Slightly said, in the tone that prevented his being a general favorite. But perhaps some distant sound disturbed him, for he added hastily, but I wish he would come back and tell us whether he has heard anything more about Cinderella. They talked of Cinderella, and Toodles was confident that his mother must have been very like her. It was only in Peter's absence that they could speak of mothers, the subject being forbidden by him as silly. All I remember about my mother, Nibs told him, is that she often said to my father, "Oh, how I wish I had a checkbook of my own. I don't know what a checkbook is, but I should just love to give my mother one." Aw, this is when we appreciate having, well, you know what? You should always appreciate your mother. She was the vessel through which you entered this world, and she can sustain life. And not because I'm a woman, I'm not a mother, but I've been a mentor and mother-like to other people. But I do think it's important to always honor your mother. You know, it's very dangerous to give childbirth. People don't realize that. People do die in childbirth nowadays. It's very dangerous. It's a very traumatizing thing to the woman. All right, now I gave you a little talk on that. While they talked, they heard a distant sound. You or I, not being wild things of the woods, would have heard nothing. But they heard it, and it was the grim song. Yo ho, the pirate life. The flag of skull and bones, a merry hour, a hempen rope, and hey for Davy Jones. At once, the lost boys. But where are they? They are no longer there. Rabbits could not have disappeared more quickly. Ha, that's funny. I will tell you where they are. With the exception of Nibs, who has darted away to reconnoiter, they are already in their home under the ground, a very delightful residence of which we shall see a good deal presently. But how have they reached it? For there is no entrance to be seen, not so much as a large stone, which if rolled away would disclose the mouth of a cave. Look closely, however, and you may note that there are here 7 large trees, each with a hole in its hollow trunk as large as a boy. These are the 7 entrances to the home under the ground, for which Hook has been searching in vain these many moons. Will he find it tonight? Dun, 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 dun. Wow, there's like so much drama. I love it. I love it. As the pirates advanced, the quick-eyed Starkey sighted Nibs disappearing through the wood, and at once his pistol flashed out, but an iron claw gripped his shoulder. "Captain, let go," he cried, writhing. Now, for the first time, we hear the voice of Hook. It was a black voice. "Put back that pistol first," he said threateningly. "It was one of those boys you hate. I could have shot him dead." "Aye, and the sound would have brought Tiger Lily's redskins upon us. Do you want to lose your scalp?" "Shall I after him, Captain?" asked pathetic Smee, "and tickle him with Johnny Corkscrew?" Smee had pleasant names for everything, and his cutlass was Johnny Corkscrew because he wiggled it in the wound. Ew, this is sadistic. Oh my God, so he'd kill you with his cutlass and then wiggle it in your wound. That's terrible, terrible. One could mention many lovable traits in Smee. For instance, after killing, it was his spectacles he wiped instead of his weapon. "Johnny's a silent fellow," he reminded Hook. "Not now, Smee," Hook said darkly. "He is only one, and I want to mischief all the 7. Scatter and look for them." The pirates disappeared among the trees, and in a moment their captain and Smee were alone. Hook heaved a heavy sigh, and I know not why it was. Perhaps it was because of the soft beauty of the evening, but there came over him a desire to confide to his faithful boatswain the story of his life. He spoke long and earnestly, but what it was all about, Smee, who was rather stupid, did not know in the least. Anon he caught the word Peter. "Most of all," Hook was saying passionately, "I want their captain Peter Pan. 'Twas he who cut off my arm." He brandished the hook threateningly. "I waited long enough to shake his hand with this. Oh, I'll tear him." "And yet," said Smee, "I have often heard you say your hook was worth a score of hands for combing the hair and other homely uses." "Aye," the captain answered. "If I was a mother, I would pray to have my children born with this instead of that." And he cast a look of pride upon his iron hand and one of scorn upon the other. Then again he frowned. Oh my God, he should be grateful to Peter Pan, but I love how Smee's like digging into him, even though Smee is supposedly so stupid. But listen, he's not so stupid because he's digging into Captain Hook, saying, "Oh, you want to kill Peter Pan, but he gave you the one thing that you really love, a hook to comb your hair, his long black curls that look like candles." I don't think I can get Captain Hook out of my mind. "Peter flung my arm," he said, wincing, "to a crocodile that happened to be passing by." "I have often," said Smee, "noticed your strange dread of crocodiles." "Not of crocodiles," Hook corrected him, "but of that one crocodile." He lowered his voice. "It liked my arm so much, Smee, that it has followed me ever since, from sea to sea and from land to land, licking its lips for the rest of me." "In a way," said Smee, "it's sort of a compliment." So Hook does not only look good. I guess he tastes good, because that crocodile just can't get enough of some Hook, okay? He wants to hook his big teeth into Hook's buttocks. That's where probably all the juicy meat is, or the thigh. Okay, I want no such compliments, Hook barked petulantly. I want Peter Pan, who first gave the brute its taste for me. He sat down on a large mushroom, and now there was a quiver in his voice. Smee, he said huskily, that crocodile would have had me before this, but by a lucky chance it swallowed a clock which goes tick-tick inside it, and so before it can reach me, I hear the tick and bolt. He laughed, but in a hollow way. Some day, said Smee, the clock will run down, and then he'll get you. Oh my God, Smee is just like jab, jab, hook. You get it? Jab, jab, hook into Hook. That is hysterical. Like Hook keeps saying shit and Smee's like, listen, bitch, your reality is this. You're going to get eaten by that crocodile. I don't care what to tell you. And Smee's probably just waiting for that day. He won't say it, but I think deep down, we all got that darkness. Hook wetted his dry lips. Aye, he said, that's the fear that haunts me. Since sitting down, he had felt curiously warm. Smee, he said, this seat is hot. He jumped up. Odds, bobs, hammer, and tongs! I'm burning! They examined the mushroom, which was of a size and solidity unknown on the mainland. They tried to pull it up, and it came away at once in their hands, for it had no root. Stranger still, smoke began at once to ascend. The pirates looked at each other. A chimney? They both exclaimed. Oh, shit. Guess what? These books are all really so whimsical. Alice with the big mushroom, them sitting on the mushroom, which is really not a mushroom, and it's kind of like they're tripping. Everything comes down to mushrooms. Wow, with all these people doing psychedelics back then? They had indeed discovered the chimney of the home under the ground. It was the custom of the boys to stop it with the mushroom when enemies were in the neighborhood. Not only smoke came out of it, there came also children's voices, for so safe did the boys feel in their hiding place that they were gaily chatting. The pirates listened grimly, and then replaced the mushroom. They looked around them and noted the holes in the 7 trees. Did you hear them say Peter Pan's from home? Smee whispered, fidgeting with Johnny Corkscrew. Hook nodded. He stood for a long time, lost in thought, and at last a curdling smile lit up his swarthy face. Smee had been waiting for it. Unrip your plan, Captain, he cried eagerly. To return to the ship, Hook replied slowly through his teeth, and cook a large, rich cake of a jolly thickness with green sugar on it. There can be but one room below, for there is but one chimney. The silly moles had not the sense to see that they did not need a door apiece. That shows they have no mother. We will leave the cake on the shore of the mermaid's lagoon. These boys are always swimming about there playing with the mermaids. They will find the cake and they will gobble it up because, having no mother, they don't know how dangerous 'tis to eat rich damp cake. He burst into laughter, not high laughter now, but honest laughter. Aha! They will die! Smee had listened with growing admiration. It's the wickedest, prettiest policy ever I heard of, he cried, and in their exultation they danced and sang. Avast belay, when I appear, by fear they're overtook. Naught's left upon your bones when you have shaken claws with Hook. They began the verse, but they never finished it, for another sound broke in and stilled them. There was at first such a tiny sound that a leaf might have fallen on it and smothered it, but as it came nearer, it was more distinct. Tick, 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 tick. Hook stood, shuddering, 1 foot in the air. The crocodile, he gasped, and bounded away, followed by his boatswain. It was indeed the crocodile. It had passed the redskins, who were now on the trail of the other pirates. It oozed on after Hook. Once more, the boys emerged into the open. But the dangers of the night were not yet over, for presently Nibs rushed breathless into their midst, pursued by a pack of wolves. The tongues of the pursuers were hanging out. The baying of them was horrible. Horribile. Save me, cried Nibs, falling on the ground. But what can we do? What can we do? It was a high compliment to Peter that at that dire moment their thoughts turned to him. Yeah, but where is Peter? Okay, that's the question. He has left your asses, and you're all fending for yourselves in some little house under the ground, and now you don't know what to do because the wolves are hungry, honey. The wolves want a piece of y'all, okay? What would Peter do? They cried simultaneously. Almost in the same breath they cried, Peter would look at them through his legs. And then, let us do what Peter would do. It is quite the most successful way of defying wolves, and as one boy, they bent and looked through their legs. The next moment is the long one. But victory came quickly, for as the boys advanced upon them in the terrible attitude, the wolves dropped their tails and fled. Bizarre. Now Nibs rose from the ground, and the others thought that his staring eyes still saw the wolves. But it was not wolves he saw. "I have seen a wonderfuler thing," he cried as they gathered round him eagerly. "A great white bird. It is flying this way." "What kind of bird do you think?" "I don't know," Nibs said, awestruck, "but it looks so weary, and as it flies, it moans. Poor Wendy." "Poor Wendy?" "Oh, shit. Guess who's coming in? Remember?" Okay, if you didn't see the last video, at the end of chapter 4, Wendy is flying with Tinkerbell, and Tinkerbell's got a plan because Wendy's supposed to go to her doom. Okay, let's see if Wendy goes to her doom. Oh, shit. "I remember," said Slightly instantly. "There are birds called Wendy's." "See, it comes," cried Curly, pointing to Wendy in the heavens. Wendy was now almost overhead, and they could hear her plaintive cry. But more distinct came the shrill voice of Tinkerbell. The jealous fairy had now cast off all disguise of friendship and was darting at her victim from every direction, pinching savagely each time she touched. "Hello, Tink," cried the wondering boys. Tink's reply rang out, "Peter wants you to shoot the Wendy." It was not in their nature to question when Peter ordered. "Let us do what Peter wishes," cried the simple boys. "Quick, bows and arrows." All but Toodles popped down their trees. He had a bow and arrow with him, and Tink noted it and rubbed her little hands. "Quick, Toodles, quick," she screamed. "Peter will be so pleased." Toodles excitedly fitted the arrow to his bow. "Out of the way, Tink," he shouted, and then he fired, and Wendy fluttered to the ground with an arrow in her breast. Holy shit. We just went dark, my friend. Dark. Okay, let's not forget embonpoint, which is your breast area. So Wendy was shot in that fleshy part of her bosom. Embonpoint. That was from the last chapter too, or 2 chapters ago. I can't remember. It's about Tinkerbell. Anyway, oh my God. This is I gotta tell you something. I have never read this. I told you before, and I'm telling you again. So this is very exciting. I can see how kids would be like, there's some big words in this too. My God. Kids have to be like asking their parents all these words. It's a lot of words here. Anyway, I'm just gonna say that Captain Hook, hubba hubba. I have a picture. I love reading. You wanna know why you love reading? Because you can imagine exactly what you want them to look like. Oh, is there another? There's a plane. The plane, boss, the plane. Do you guys remember that show, Fantasy Island? Yeah, it was a little tattoo, Hervé Villechaize, and it was Ricardo Montalban. He used to play Mr. Rourke. Oh God, he was so handsome. I had the hots for him. I'm just talking because the helicopter's going by. Okay, the helicopter's done. So, I mean, Wendy can't die. We know that, but still. I mean, Toodles, one-shot Toodles, they need to be calling him. He's not such a tool, even though Tinkerbell's using him as a tool. So, poor Wendy Bird is down. That is how they're leaving us in shock and surprise. But anyway, I digress. So, what can we glean from this chapter on the woo-woo? Because now it's time to go into the woo-woo. I've made all my snarky comments. Anyway, the woo-woo. All right. So, what I want to say about woo-woo is this whole thing with, like, there's always a leader in life, and Captain Hook is the leader of the pirates, and Peter Pan's the leader of the Lost Boys, and he's not there right now, but Captain Hook is not such a nice person, but yet he seems to be the leader of all these pirates who are all just dastardly. But I guess he's the most evil out of all of them. And in life, have you ever wondered, when you have followed somebody, did they have qualities that you admired? Because I think it's really important to, like, look at the people that you admire and just think of the qualities that they admire. And we're not going to talk about evil people because that's not the point here. We're talking about applying some stuff to your life and also being the leader that has admirable qualities, right? Being a leader who is kind and respectful, so that's what you're going to receive back. So what is interesting to me here is that Hook, they all fear Hook. Basically, they fear him. He treats them like dogs, and they respond to that. And for me, that's obviously the worst thing you can do to somebody. And I feel it's important that today we should lead by example, because great leaders, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. And I think it's really important for us to keep in mind that how we live our lives and what we show to the world, the example we show to people, is what they really are going to see, right? And that's most important. And that is what you're going to receive back. Not saying that there are not some dickheads that are running the world and what have you. But this is more about your own personal life. And I just would like you to think about qualities you admire in others that you've looked up to, and why you admire those qualities. Or also, if you're a leader and you're the manager of people, or you're a boss and what have you, what qualities do you think that you exemplify? And I would tell you to celebrate them. And I think that's really important, to celebrate the good qualities, the admirable qualities, because even if you're not leading a team of people, we show people who we are by how we act in the world. And so leading by example is just being a nice person. So when you're a nice person, my friends, and you have beautiful qualities, people can respond that way. Of course, we know there's always a couple of people that are just going to be assholes. We can't fight that. There's assholes everywhere. But that's just because they got self-loathing. And that's their own, that has, it has nothing to do with you, how they treat you. But how you treat others is all about, it's all on you. And that's what I think is important. How do you lead your life? By what example? So for me, I took that one particular lesson out of it. Now, you hearing it, you might take something else from it. And right now, I enjoyed the whole thing. I think it's a wonderful little ditty, but I do want to encourage you, if you're journaling, and if you are journaling, I think that's great, because I do think journaling is very healing, especially when you have a lot to think about, right? But if you're journaling, think about the qualities that you feel that you exemplify to the world and celebrate them. And then think about qualities that you admire in others that you'd like to exemplify to the world, and start being in that way. Because my friends, you control how you show the world. You control what you show the world. You control how you think. Only you control what you give off to the world. You cannot control what the world gives back to you. But I will tell you this, the more you stand in your truth and authenticity, the more that the world gives back to you in a positive way. Because you came here to be your most authentic self. You didn't come here to be a carbon copy of somebody else. And just because you may admire qualities in another person doesn't mean you have to be that other person, okay? It just means you admire the qualities, and those are things that you can take from them, because we're learning every day. And you also came here to learn. You just learn to be you in a most authentic, truest form, and learn to love yourself for all the wonderful qualities you have. So please celebrate the wonderful qualities. I don't like when people think they have to dwell on the negative about themselves and this is what I need to fix. No. We always, we're all under construction constantly, right? But the point is, we also have to celebrate the wonderful things that we offer the world, the wonderful parts of ourselves. Celebrate it. Write down the things that you love about yourself. And honestly, if you can keep that list in your pocket, and I don't care if you got 1,000 things on it, like every friggin' part of yourself, you should, because there's only one version of you, my friends. There's no other person like you. I don't care if you're a twin or a triplet or a quintuplet or whatever. They are not exactly you. No one is a replica. So honor, love yourselves, celebrate yourselves, and just be in the flow of who you are. And just know that you are enough and worthy. I always stress that, and I think that's important, because self-love is the number one thing. And people that don't have self-love, guess what? They're the trolls. They're the haters out there that are making the nasty comments, that are picking on people that are doing the good things, or just making nasty comments because they don't like themselves. So they're just going to shoot other people down. So stand in your truth, be your authentic self, and love yourself, and celebrate all the good things that you bring to the world, because you are unique, and you are worthy, and you are enough. And I love you regardless. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. You have an amazing day, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye. Stay beautiful, stay authentic, and just be true to you. One of my favorite statements or quotes, Shakespeare, to thine own self be true. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Though it takes me 5 years to get through my friggin' diatribe, I get it. Thank you if you stayed this long. All right, we're done now. Okay, peace out.